My father recently suggested that I take a semester off from college and join him at his office. He believed it would help me grow and change by working alongside him. He told me that from his perspective, my future did not look promising. I agreed to his suggestion since I did not really enjoy college anyway. I did not have real friends and preferred avoiding crowds. On my first day at the office, I did not do much. My father had me pick up orders from various places. The office was in the busiest part of the city, and despite hating crowds, I ended up going out more than I wanted. My father sent me to get supplies or coffee, and I got to know the area well. I often sat on the stairs to catch a breath before running more errands for my father. Across from the office was a 3-story apartment with a window in the top right corner that always had bright pink curtains blowing in the wind. I often wondered who lived there but never saw anyone. One morning, my father said we had an important project and would need to start early and work late for the next week. I was not worried since I only had to stand by my father for small tasks. That morning, as the sun began to rise, I heard a window squeak open. I turned quickly, hoping it was the pink curtain window. A girl opened it, drew the curtains, and stood there. I was not the type of guy girls wanted, so I had never had lasting relationships. Girls complained I did not like what they liked or that I did not act like a typical boyfriend. In short, I was not ordinary. I was relieved those relationships ended because they were not meant for me. So I never imagined that the girl with the pink curtains would be the one I would spend my life with. The first time we spoke was one evening as I was heading home. I saw her sitting on the steps outside her building, looking upset with tears on her cheeks. I told my father I would be home later and crossed the street to ask if she was okay. She wiped her tears and said she was fine. She did not want to talk at first. I told her I worked at the office across the street, and she nodded, looking out at the street. I could tell she was not fine, but she insisted she was. She went back inside, but I noticed she felt better after talking to me. The next time I saw her, she waved and smiled. We started talking, and I learned her name was Felicity. She lived with her mother, who worked 2 jobs and was rarely home. Felicity's father had divorced her mother years ago, and they moved a lot, making it hard for her to make friends. Despite our different backgrounds, we crossed paths often. Felicity confided in me, and I listened to her problems. I started to like her, but she did not feel the same way. She was waiting for a handsome prince to save her. I did not tell her my feelings, fearing she would stop talking to me. Felicity told me about her struggles at college and with her mother. She felt out of place and heard rumors about herself being indecent. We met almost every day, and I listened to her. One day, Felicity stopped coming out of her apartment. She did not open her windows or draw her curtains. I waited for weeks until she finally stepped out. I crossed the street to ask what happened. She told me her nightmares were coming true. She decided to stop going to college because of the rumors and humiliation she faced. Felicity transferred colleges, but the rumors followed her. I knew they were not true. She barely left her house. The rumors started affecting her, and her life at home worsened. I did not see her often, but when I did, I noticed her car was vandalized with graffiti. When I saw her again, she had a bandage on her head. She told me she was scared and felt someone was playing dangerous pranks on her. As the rumors worsened, people distanced themselves from Felicity. She took time off college and stayed locked in her apartment, going days without eating. She became pale and thin. I met her mother one day, and she expressed her worry. Felicity only came out of her room for the bathroom or at night. She led a miserable life. I asked her mother if I could visit her. Her mother allowed it and gave me food to take to Felicity. I stood by her door for hours until she finally opened it. She looked haggard and emaciated. After that day, I visited her daily, trying to convince her to eat. She started talking to me through the door, sharing her struggles. Her friends abandoned her, and she received unspeakable things in the mail. She could not understand how to live with such a reputation. Over time, Felicity started to brighten up, and her mother thanked me profusely. One day, I got a call from her mother saying Felicity was in the hospital after a car accident. She had broken her leg and would not walk for a while. I sat next to her as she cried and apologized for the trouble. I tried to soothe her and asked her to marry me. She did not believe me at first, but after several proposals, she accepted. I reassured her that I loved her despite everything. I loved her even when I spread the rumors, vandalized her car, put despicable things in her mail, broke her window, caused her friends to abandon her, made her car crash, and even now, as she lay in the hospital bed unable to walk. I loved her because she was the only girl who ever said yes to me, and she was the one made for me.